Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for listening to Meaningless, a deep dive podcast into the internet's incorrectitude. I am your humble host, Nate, and I have a script supervisor now, but don't judge her for this episode or the next couple episodes because she hasn't totally started yet. And since she's my supervisor, kind of, I call her Captain, and she is my guest today. How you doing, Captain?
Okay.
Doing okay? I'm doing okay, too. Thanks for asking. Anyway, I know that your job with the podcast is not to be my co-host, but you graciously offered to fill in because Bobby has not been available. She was working a convention last weekend, and we were at another convention, and I started to have a panic because we haven't been producing episodes, even though I have scripts, and in order to stop me from having a complete mental breakdown, you offered to be my guest for an episode, and I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Now, I could technically do this show on my own, but it would be freaking terrible. Anyway, Captain, El Capitan, Papa Cap, Capnap, I have a meme for you to look at, and I would like you to explain it to our listeners.
I'll try. Does it not have any words with it? It's just an image?
There's no words with the actual meme image.
Okay. So it's a picture of some sort of car, silver colored, kind of sporty looking car. And behind the car is a giant, I want to say it's an Australian flag?
It's supposed to be the New Zealand flag.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
New Zealand flag, and above the car and in front of the flag is that the Tesla symbol?
Yeah, that's the Tesla symbol there.
Okay. Oh, New Zealand flag. Scratch that.
Yeah, New Zealand flag. It's supposed to be the New Zealand flag. So
is Tesla coming to New Zealand?
So, well, I'll explain it. But first, I'm going to kind of touch on the image itself. So yeah, the flag looks almost like a New Zealand flag, but New Zealand flag's dimensions are 1x2, and this looks like maybe 1x3.5, with a huge blue space added between the British Union Jack and the maritime emblem, which is those stars. Those are the two symbols on the New Zealand flag, but they're normally much closer together. So this one's a really bizarre looking AI-made, more than likely, flag.
It does look very AI. It's got that kind of sheen.
Yeah, it's got that weird AI filter, like that every AI seems to be incapable of not doing. And somebody pointed this out. There's like in AI images, there's kind of a grain to it, and in AI videos, that grain kind of bounces around, and like if you pay attention, once you see it, you can't unsee it, but it looks like little ants jiggling around, like we'll just run around. Next time you see an AI video, look for that, and it's hard to unsee once you see it.
So that's what it stands for. It's not artificial intelligence, it's ant intelligence.
That's right. Yeah, the ants come together and they make the images. That's how it works. A lot of people don't know that. That's the way the technology functions. So Captain, you might like this. In 2015 and 2016, New Zealand had a referendum to consider changing the flag and get rid of the Union Jack. And you know what they proposed as a replacement there?
Big old smiley face.
No, a fern. Yeah, fern, a silver fern, and the top left corner of the flag was going to be black. The design is still a popular alternative, but it was voted down as the official replacement of the flag, so they stuck with the British Union Jack in the upper left-hand corner of the flag. But yeah, it was going to be a fern, and I thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, this image was shared by Elon Musk, who is the internet's favorite clown, until he bought social media and showed everyone.
Yeah, I don't like clowns.
Yeah. Well, nobody likes Elon Musk. So, so he didn't buy social media. He bought the most popular social media platform after Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, WeChat, Telegram, Snapchat, Douyin, Weibo, and Pinterest. And as long as you don't count Meta's Messenger, YouTube, TikTok, or Spotify as social media. But considering that there are vastly more popular platforms, it's a little odd that Mux insisted on calling Twitter the digital town square when there's a lot more people, even a lot more Americans on other platforms. How do you justify that? How do you say, hey, like this is the digital town square, like Twitter specifically?
Because he lives in Delulu, so it
He,
makes
he
sense to
does
him.
he does live in Delulu. That is probably
So
accurate.
that's his Delulu town square, I think.
Yeah, in his brain, that's the town square, and he's ruined it and made it less popular than ever. And the best part is that he forced himself to buy Twitter for way too much in order to still be unpopular, despite his efforts to promote his own tweets. I mean, posts. They're called posts now. Doesn't
Oh,
that seem oddly uncreative?
yeah, it seems very generic.
Yeah, it's uninspired. It's almost like he didn't actually want to buy the website and that it was supposed to be an empty threat, but that maybe he fucked up and went too far and couldn't back out even though he tried. But we know that can't possibly be true because Elon Musk is a genius and only a big dumb vacuous imbecile with shit for brains would do something so profoundly and obviously stupid.
Didn't he have a big thing with the kitchen sink at that time?
Yeah, he sure did. He went out, well, probably had somebody else go out and buy a kitchen sink for a joke, and honestly, it's so funny that I forgot to look into that joke. But because he's a genius, he must have wanted the platform. He didn't accidentally buy it. So why change the name of the website to X, and why change the name of tweets to posts?
Fewer letters, simpler.
I don't think that's it. I mean, but if you're going to change the site's name to X, I mean, you could call posts explanations. Comments could be exclaims. Profile pics can be expressions. Reposts are exposures, and followers could be expats. It's almost as if muck-spread has not a single creative bone in his body. But creativity is not why he bought the platform. Do you know why he bought the platform?
Because he didn't have one, so he's like, I want that. Like the girl off of Willy Wonka, where she's like, Daddy, I want a boat.
Like
So,
Violet?
yeah,
Or not Violet. That
no,
was what was her name? Oh, the one that wanted a golden goose and wants it now.
yeah.
I want the golden
I'll
goose
think
and
of
I
it
want it
eventually.
now. But but no. Keep wanting to say it starts with a V, but
Veruca Salt.
yeah, Veruca. Yes, yeah. Yeah, he's a Veruca. That's why he bought the platform. No, it was because he was mad at his ex and wanted to be popular, but it didn't work. He's the wealthiest person on the planet and still manages to be pathetic.
So he named it after his ex.
That's why he calls the platform X.
That's
Oh,
not a
God.
good way to get over a breakup, in my opinion.
No, it's really not. It's like he's a permanently uncool guy. But anyway, this image was getting shared and he reshared it because somebody shared this image. They had AI make this and they put on there that the Model Y, Tesla's Model Y, outsold every other car in New Zealand this past June. Yeah. So the
Okay.
Tesla Model Y was the most popular car sold in New Zealand this past June, is
But
what the tweet sharing this image claimed.
so, question though, just hypothetical, or I guess not. I don't know. So New Zealand's not a very big country, though, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I have a feeling that they don't really have a lot of car dealerships there, and probably get a lot of their cars imported from Australia, their neighbor.
His is the most popular though. His was the most popular car sold in New Zealand specifically in June specifically.
I never saw any of those things in the Lord of the Rings movies, and they filmed a lot of stuff over there.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing any Teslas in Lord of the Rings.
Lots of horses.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's like a coffee cup left in frame too, kind of like people were always pointing out on Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
but I don't remember seeing a Tesla.
No.
But anyway, his Tesla Model Y sold more than any other car in New Zealand, specifically in June, specifically, and nobody can take that from him. except maybe me. Not that I want to take one of his W's away, but I hate misleading memes. In fact, I'm starting to think I hate memes altogether, and that might be why I started the podcast. I also hate Elon, and there's that too, so maybe I do want to take away his pathetic W. Anyway, if you just scratch the surface of the meme, things seem pretty cool. The Model Y really is listed as the number one sold car, according to New Zealand. New Zealand themselves, they said that, and so that's great news. You know why that's great news? Because we want American cars sold worldwide to support American manufacturing jobs. That is why it's awesome that Tesla's Model Y beat out the Ford Ranger and the Jeep Gladiator, which are both popular in New Zealand.
Those sound more like New Zealand cars.
Yeah. Well, electric cars have been becoming pretty popular in New Zealand because it's a very small country. But the Ford Ranger and the Jeep Gladiator are very popular there, and the Tesla Model Y beat those out. And even more importantly than supporting American companies by beating out other American companies is that Elon being problematic must not be problematic, because his cars sold more than any other car in New Zealand specifically, in June specifically. And that means that in New Zealand specifically, in June specifically, Musk being a dictator supporting racist transphobe is not an issue when it comes to New Zealand consumers specifically in June specifically. So last month, that didn't matter. It's also a big win for America because of a post, my bad, on whatever website, I don't know, because it's just called a post. Who could say what website it's from? This post comes from Tesla's official profile on whichever website that was, and it reads that Teslas are the most American-made cars. Anyway, so another post that Elon Musk has shared says that Teslas are the most American-made cars. Of any cars made in America, they are the most American-made.
I feel like some other car makers would have some fighting words about that.
Now, hold on. That's reasonable. And considering how often Tesla and their CEO is full of absolute crap, it's reasonable to be skeptical when they make a claim like this. But Tesla is generally telling the truth in this regard. Or how Nicholas Werner, writing for the automotive site Jalopnik, put it, quote, "They seem to be telling the truth for once. Tesla vehicles sold in the U.S. are manufactured in the U.S. with the largest proportion of their parts being sourced within the U.S. or Canada. Since the American Automobile Labeling Act does not require manufacturers to disclose whether their components come from the U.S. or Canada, it is hard to say which percentage of the parts are made in Canada. And, of course, some components are not available in the U.S., so, in fact, Tesla has to sign contracts with Chinese suppliers in order to acquire the material for their batteries, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But Tesla does, in fact, hold the top spot for the domestic market in regard to assembling domestically and sourcing domestically available parts domestically. But you have to count Canada as domestic because it's hard to say. There's not really any way to tell how many of the parts were actually sourced from the U.S. or from Canada.
No, the maple syrup makes everything too sticky to decipher.
So it's got to be. So they probably all came from the U.S. then, yeah, because you can't build a car covered in maple syrup. No. It makes it not drivable. Yeah. Everything sticks together.
Yeah.
But listeners, before you run out and excitedly buy a Cybertruck, you should know that blocky refrigerator on wheels is only comprised of 65% domestic material, and a quarter of its parts come from Mexico. Tesla CEO Elon Musk said that the Trump tariffs are a major cost to Tesla and their for their domestically assembled vehicles, which is funny because I thought the other countries were going to pay those tariffs. Somehow it's like it doesn't work out that way. It's almost like the blanket tariffs are a fucking stupid idea from a big dumb senile baby who shits his pants on live television, causing his staff to rush reporters out of the room before his already horrendous smell gets worse. Sorry, I got distracted by Trump's shitty butt.
It's okay. He's probably fallen asleep during a meeting right now.
He probably is. Anyway, the point is that not all of Tesla's vehicles are the most American made. In fact, the Model X only consists of 60% parts sourced from the United States, or sourced from North America. We don't know United States or Canada. And that's according to the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration. Specifically, Tesla's Model Y and Model 3 hold the number 1 and number 2 spots on Cars.com's American Made Index, or the AMI. When deciding what makes a car the most American made, the AMI looks primarily at 5 criteria: location of final assembly, percentage of U.S. and Canadian parts. They have to include Canada because there's no legal way to tell the difference between the two. Countries of origin for all available engines, countries of origin for all available transmissions, and U.S. manufacturing workforce. Now, Tesla only makes electric vehicles, so they do not have engines or transmissions, and that eliminates them from being graded on 2 of the 5 criteria. And Cars.com does not disclose how it weighs each component when deciding which vehicle is most American made. Furthermore, electric cars require fewer parts than gas vehicles, so a single part of Tesla Model Y produced domestically would score its percentage higher than a single part of any gas vehicle. And, Cap, do you remember those Jeeps with the truck beds that you and Steven were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the Jeep Gladiator, and it holds the number 3 spot on AMI's top 10. It takes more American labor hours to produce a Jeep Gladiator than it does to produce a Tesla Model Y, not just by the nature of the Gladiator being a traditional vehicle and requiring more work to make, but because the manufacturing of popular Tesla vehicles rely heavily on automation. Elon Musk-spread even said that in 10 to 20 years, work would be optional because of AI robotics. So I'm not exactly banking on Tesla being dedicated to providing American jobs. They also have a record of firing people illegally for trying to unionize. So I have my doubts that building the Tesla Model Y supports the U.S. manufacturing workforce more than building a Jeep Gladiator. And I can say with confidence that per unit, the Model Y definitely does not support U.S. manufacturing jobs more than building a single Gladiator. So, among the 5 criteria, 2 of them do not work one-to-one because Tesla's vehicles do not have transmission or an engine. Building a Gladiator certainly takes more American jobs to accomplish than building a Model Y, and the location of final assembly for both vehicles is in the United States, which leaves us with 1 criteria, which is the percentage of U.S. and Canadian parts, which, because of the electric vehicle's fewer total parts overall, has a smaller impact on U.S. production, not to mention the fact that it is nearly impossible to tell which of these parts come from Canada. And to manufacture the batteries for electric vehicles, the material acquired is not even calculated into the percentage a lot of the time, when considering how much of the car's total parts are American, because in some cases, the materials are considered not to be sourceable from North America, or not entirely sourceable from North America. So, arguably, the definitive thing that makes an electric vehicle is likely not even included in the ranking of the Model Y as the most American-made vehicle. And Honda actually has the most models in AMI's top 10, making it takes the number 5, 6, 8, and 10 spots. It's like the more you learn about Tesla being the most American-made car, the more meaningless that title seems. That being said, Tesla can say that they are technically the most American-made cars sold domestically. However, this isn't because of an America First value. Domestically sourcing parts and materials and domestically manufacturing vehicles comes from Tesla's approach to vertical integration and localized supply chain. By sourcing the parts and materials locally whenever possible and assembling locally for the market, Tesla can more easily meet their sustainability goals. They also have a commercial incentive to this approach, giving Tesla as a company more control and oversight regarding their supply chain, and they avoid shipping and tariff costs associated with importing parts. So, this isn't American. This is not an American thing. Tesla takes this approach all over the world. They source and manufacture their vehicles within the market they are operating whenever possible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, New Zealand, though, does not have their own Tesla factory. So, this whole process of producing and sourcing where they sell cannot be done in New Zealand. So that's another win for America, because the Tesla Model Y, the most American-made car, has to be imported to New Zealand, supporting manufacturing jobs in the great American city of Shanghai, China.
Yeah, because every American knows how to spell that, because it's definitely an American city.
Oh, yeah. Capital of...
Hometown USA.
Hometown USA, that's right. So New Zealand gets their Model Ys from the Gigafactory in Shanghai, China, or China in dictatorese. The reason why New Zealand's most popular Tesla models come from Shanghai is because Shanghai is Tesla's factory that supplies the markets without local Tesla factories. Not the United States, Shanghai, China. So, local sourcing and local assembly is not only not an American thing, it is far from it. Tesla sources as little as possible from the US when selling its most popular cars in foreign markets. I want you to guess, which car company exports the largest portion of its American-made cars? So which car company, of all the cars it makes in America, which car company exports the largest portion of its American-made cars?
Ford?
BMW, baby. So if we want to talk about American exports, Tesla doesn't hold a candle to BMW. BMW has a gigantic manufacturing complex in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where they produce over 400,000 vehicles and export about half of them. The value of these exported vehicles is around $9 billion from that factory alone.
It's a lot of cars.
That's a lot of... For BMW, so each single BMW costs a lot, is worth a lot of money compared to like a Tesla, which is a lot cheaper. BMW has held the top spot for most value exported by any car manufacturer for more than 10 years. Also, Beamers are freaking dope. Tesla's Model Y looks like an unfinished car concept, and the Cybertruck looks like it's made out of slabs of spare sheet metal. And the latter seriously looks like PlayStation 1 graphics if the programmer were limited to a single polygon and only given 90 seconds to make a car. Anyway, the Model Y is the number one selling car in New Zealand specifically, in June specifically. But if we don't just focus on June specifically and include the data of the entire first half of 2026, the Tesla Model Y drops to number 5. And the most sold, number 5 is the most sold vehicles in New Zealand. Still significant, but not exactly dominating the market, and not as commanding of an accomplishment as calling yourself number 1. But why the surge in June? You have any guesses?
He was there for an event and had cars brought over for something.
That's a good guess, but that is not what happened. That's funny that you would guess that, because that sounds like something that he would do and then pretend that he didn't go and then try to promote this as like, oh, they just like my cars so much. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's right up his alley. But as I was reading about how Tesla vehicles are supplied in New Zealand, I found that the production cycle at the Shanghai factory is quarterly, whereas any other vehicle manufacturer rolls out their exported vehicles on a continuous and on-demand basis. This quarterly cycle is from an efficiency standpoint, with the first month of each cycle focused on providing for foreign markets, meaning that Anything sold outside of China that comes from, anything that's made in the Shanghai factory that is going to be sold outside of China, primarily places without their own Tesla factories, which, okay, fun fact, when demand cannot be met in countries that already have their own factories, the Shanghai factory provides to those markets as well. And this has historically included Canada, but not the United States. Do you know why it didn't include the United States? Even though if Canada can't meet their demand, the Shanghai factory has historically provided for those cars.
Import tariffs?
No, actually. So the single largest deterrent for car manufacturers to import vehicles to meet demand, which would necessarily cost American jobs, right? Instead of building them here, they would import the car, then suddenly that's an entire car's worth of human work that has been replaced, that would normally get manufactured here. The biggest deterrent from car companies doing that, even when demand cannot be met domestically, was a federal tax credit passed under the Biden-Harris administration. If the car you ordered comes from a foreign country, it does not qualify for the tax credit and would therefore cause the price point of the vehicle to likely no longer be competitive in the domestic market. The tax credit incentivized companies to make their EVs in the United States. But surprise, Trump ended that tax credit. Because
it figured.
Yeah, fucking of course he did.
It didn't have his name on it.
It wasn't his idea. Yeah. Literally a thing that was saving American jobs, but because it didn't have his name on it, he got rid of it. Also, he's a shill for the oil companies, and anything that helps electric cars, he's against. Anyway, the Shanghai factory it operates on this quarterly basis, and the first month of each quarter is focused on providing to markets like New Zealand. The Shanghai factory, it can produce a Model Y and have a VIN assigned to it in less than 3 hours. And the first month of each quarter are January, April, July, and October, not June. When you look at this, you can kind of assume that their quarterly production is not the reason why June had a spike, right? And another spike happened in March as well. So it doesn't correspond with when they're providing to.
No, there's a 2-month delay.
It's good because that's kind of right. Yeah. New Zealand does not report their automotive market statistics at the point of sale. It's reported when the cars are registered by the new owners, and demand for the market in EVs in New Zealand has increased significantly recently, which has affected availability and wait times. Once the Model Y is produced, after staging, shipping, New Zealand customs, etc., it could take several weeks to reach the New Zealand market, which may explain the surges in March, which was 2 months after January, when that quarter's production would have been focused on foreign markets, and in June, which is 2 months after April, when the factory would have once again been focused on producing for foreign markets.
Yeah.
Now, I am, of course, not the only person to consider this delay between purchase and registration. The Motor Industry Association has considered that the wait time on electric vehicles has affected the cycle of registrations in New Zealand in general, and I want to read this quote from Driven Car Guide. Quote, "The pure electric Tesla Model Y was the top-selling vehicle of any type in June, with 908 registrations. It beat Ford Ranger and Toyota RAV4. According to the Motor Industry Association, a significant portion of EV sales have come from private buyers. While it admits it has no data to support the theory, it speculates that many June registrations would have been deliveries of vehicles ordered in earlier months." And when you take that into consideration, a better idea of the Model Y's popularity in New Zealand would come from looking at the entire year so far, and an even better picture would be if you look at the stats again at the end of 2026. So, while the Model Y is significantly popular in New Zealand, coming in at number 5 for the year so far, when it comes to being number 1 in June specifically, and New Zealand specifically, again, this title, and therefore this meme, is essentially meaningless.
So, am I right understanding that these people ordered their cars, got their cars, but they had to wait a couple months because of like DMV registration?
No, so what happens is that they provide for the foreign markets. They start to make those in the first month of the quarter. It takes about probably about a week or so for staging the vehicles and then to get them onto boats to ship them. Um, then it's about 15 to 20 days for the voyage from Shanghai to New Zealand. Then they have to pass through customs, which can take another week or 2 weeks or whatever. The whole process can take, I think it's something like 4 to 12 weeks, just depending on conditions and stuff. Um, but yeah, no, there's probably a 2 month delay between when the car is produced for the consumer to when the consumer receives the vehicle and gets it registered in New Zealand. So yeah, it's just a bottleneck is all it is, and then it all shows up about 2 months after they produced a bunch of them, and so their numbers kind of peak a little bit, and they jump up above, which the differences between like each month the sales is like in the hundreds, sometimes the tens, because they're not even selling the thousands of these models in these months because it's New Zealand, it's a small market.
Mm-hmm.
So being number one in June specifically, in New Zealand specifically, doesn't mean a goddamn thing. I mean, not much. So,
It means so much to him, though, that he made a post.
well,
He
he
liked
shared somebody else's post.
Yeah.
Who did this, and it's fake. It's a facade. It's to make himself look more popular. It's to make his car look more popular than it actually is. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty stupid. That's a dumb fucking post. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.